Sophie, thank you very much and welcome to a rather special royal edition of Look North, coming tonight live from York.
Yes, the sun shone and they turned out in their thousands to welcome the Queen in this, her Diamond Jubilee year.
Her Majesty had come to the city for a special service at York Minster, where she distributed Maundy money to 86 men and 86 women.
I really enjoyed it because I saw her hat and I saw what she was wearing, and for me, just to see the Queen rather than not seeing it on TV, it was really, really good.
I'd never think I'd meet the Queen, but I've done it. And I'm very pleased to have seen her. She's a fantastic lady, and I hope she reigns for a long, long time yet.
This afternoon she went on to open a new exhibition at the Yorkshire Museum commemorating York 800 years as a self-governing see. We'll have all the pictures and all the reaction on tonight's Look North.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for a rather special programme as York continues to be bathed in sunshine for this memorable day. Thousands of people lined the streets of the city as the Queen came for that Royal Maundy Service in the Minster. With her, the Duke of Edinburgh and the Princess of York, Princess Beatrice. And you know, Phil, it's a really special year for her Diamond Jubilee, celebrating 60 years on the throne, but also a special day for York too.
It is, because York is celebrating 800 years of being granted a royal charter back in 1212. And today, Her Majesty the Queen came here to the Yorkshire Museum. That's why we're here live tonight to open a new exhibition which marks the history, really, the things which shaped the city's history over the last 800 years. Tonight, a group of invited VIPs will be looking at this exhibition as the very first chance to see what York has happened in York over the last 800 years. We'll be looking at that a little later on. First, though, my colleague Tom Ingle on a very special day for the city of York.
Thank you very much, Tom. Well, as you heard there, the tradition of the Maundy Money is to give money to the number of recipients, men and women, who reflect the monarch's age. Of course, the Queen, 86 at the end of this month. But you know, the actual tradition goes way back.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
King John was the first monarch ever to carry out the Maundy Service. He was giving money to the poor just down the road in 1210 in Knaresborough. But the actual core of the Maundy Service goes back, well, to the Last Supper. And some of those robes that were worn today reflect the cloth that Jesus washed the disciples' feet with. So really historic event.
Yeah, absolutely. And ordinarily, of course, the recipients of the Maundy Money are local people. But because this is the Diamond Jubilee year this year, Krista, the Queen requested specifically that she wanted people from all over the country to benefit from the Maundy Money. So people have come from far and wide. One local man, though, has come a bit from not too far away, Tony Barker. Tony, you're a retired church warden and a former funeral director. You were a recipient of the Maundy Money. Show us the colour of it then.
Yes, there it is. Look, now there's 4 of the lovely little silver coins.
What was it like meeting the Queen today?
Oh, it was absolutely marvellous. Beyond
Words.
Words, yeah.
You've not been lost for words all
well,
day.
that's the first time, isn't it, you see?
But it's moved you, hasn't it?
It has, yes. It really was marvellous. And like I've said before, to meet the Queen is something that we all dream of, really, and you know, it was wonderful.
The sun shone on the city today. It was a beautiful occasion for everyone, wasn't it? Even all the thousands who lined the streets.
It was indeed, yes, for everyone. Yeah. As I said to Chris earlier, I said it was Paul that had got it right, but it wasn't Paul.
No, it wasn't Paul, it was Lisa.
It was
the
Lisa,
lovely Lisa,
yeah,
and the sun looks beautiful.
It does.
Can I just move from Tony now to a young lady here who had a rather nervous morning? God, you presented the posy, didn't you, Margot, to the Queen? Tell me how the curtsy went. I think we can see that in a moment. Was it okay?
Yes.
Had you practised it lots and lots and lots?
Well, at a ballet I practiced it.
Ah, the best place to practice it. And you told us you were going to wear your grey and pink dress, and it looks absolutely beautiful. Did you say anything to the Queen?
Well, when I gave her the flowers, she said thank you very much.
Oh, that's absolutely lovely. And you're still smiling. Was it lovely? Of course, we have to say that you were not very well when you were quite tiny, were you? A few years ago, Mum, Miriam, you know, hole in the heart, big operation.
Yes.
A bravery award followed, and now today.
happy memory and thoughts, as she said not long ago, she said, oh, it's great to have open heart surgery because I'm going to get to meet the Queen now.
Oh,
so
a very proud mum though.
Oh yes, very, very proud.
Did you shed a tear?
No, I was really brave as well, like Margot.
You were brave. Thank you very much for showing us your dress, Margot, and I think you did absolutely beautifully. In fact, we should go to ballet together and practice curtsying for the Queen, should we? Yes, let's do that. OK, well, we're going to be back here with more of the sights and sounds of the day, including, as Phil said, a look inside at the exhibition here at the Yorkshire Museum. But for now, back to you in the studio. Amanda.
Thank you very much, Krista. Margot looking as posh as the Queen there. Now, how's it going, guys?
Amanda, thank you very much. Well, this is where Her Majesty the Queen came earlier this afternoon to this brand new exhibition which marks 800 years of the city of York. This is the seal of Snaris. This was a tax collector's seal. It was dipped in hot wax to authenticate documents, and that was really what the charter meant. It meant the city being able to self-govern for the first time. Tonight, around 150 people are here in York to celebrate this 800th anniversary and to see this new exhibition.
Hundreds lined the museum gardens as the Queen arrived. She was there to open a new exhibition called The Making of the City, which celebrates 800 years of York's history. The exhibition showcases some of the major events that have shaped life in the city since the 13th century.
We start with the 1212 event. The charter being granted is a huge key moment, and from there we look at real power in the city, the Minster, St Mary's Abbey. We look at the people of York and the mystery plays and how the people who lived and worked in York made the city great, made it a colourful, vibrant place to live. And then we look at York's relationship with the monarchy, with the royals that have visited here throughout the years.
It was King John who granted York a royal charter back in 1212.
Before that date, the person in charge of a city would have been the sheriff. Based here at York Castle, he had sole responsibility for collecting the taxes.
York was strategically important then, but the King's administration was deeply unpopular, with disagreements between local traders and the sheriff over who should have the power to set the taxes.
By granting a charter, King John allowed the people of York the right to collect their own taxes, in effect, govern themselves.
The charter was a legally binding contract between the King and the people of York, setting out the rights, liabilities and responsibilities of self-government. In exchange, the citizens made a down payment of £200 and 3 horses, plus an annual sum of £160 each year to the sovereign.
On one level, it's actually just a squalid financial bargain between the city and King John. King John needs the money and the city is willing to pay it to become free from royal control. But the significance is that it's the first crack in the feudal system. It's the first time that the people who lived in York actually took some degree of control over the affairs of the city.
This new exhibition shows us how King John's charter formed the first steps towards democracy, helping the city flourish in the 800 years since. Today it was the present monarch's turn to give York 800 another royal seal of approval.
Well, thank you. Yes, this was the King John, the man who started it back in 1212. And tonight, as you can see, lots of people are here enjoying this new exhibition. Let's talk to some key people today who were involved in this royal visit. First of all, Councillor David Horton, you are the Lord Mayor of York. You're the man who could have refused permission for the monarch to enter today. You didn't. What did she say at Micklegate Bar?
Well, I welcomed her at Micklegate Bar and welcomed her into the city, but obviously I wasn't going to refuse her entry. Otherwise it would have been my head on the block on top of Micklegate.
With the traitors, no doubt.
Pardon?
With the traitors, because Micklegate Bar is the southern gateway to the city, isn't it?
That was the entrance that the monarch always arrives into York. And there's this little ceremony that takes place at the Micklegate Bar with not only the request to enter the city, but also the exposing of the Sigismund sword and the Queen placing her hand on the blade of the sword.
Okay, Councillor Horton, thank you for joining us tonight and have a good evening here. Let's talk to another lady. This lady here is making history today because you are the first female town clerk, Kirsten England, Chief Executive of the City of York Council.
Well, it's fantastic. I like to think I've made a tiny little bit of the history of today in being the first woman to greet the Queen as she entered York. It's a fantastic day.
What did you have to say to her and what did she say to you?
Well, I read a proclamation to her of greeting, and actually we used some of the words of the 1212 Charter. We used some of the words that we said to Queen Victoria on her Diamond Jubilee, and we used some words about her Jubilee for this year. So they were really heartfelt messages.
And briefly, a very, very special day. The sun shone and it showed York off in all its glory, didn't it?
Oh, this was us at our best. This city looked absolutely beautiful, and the people of York had a wonderful day.
Kirsten, many thanks for allowing us down here tonight. So as you can see, the celebrations go on here tonight. I think they'll be going on for quite some time. But meanwhile, let's go back up into the daylight and the fresh air with Krista. Krista, what's that noise I can hear? I can hear music where you are now.
Well, among the people who enjoyed lunch at the Mansion House today were these wonderful musicians from the York Arts Academy, part of a string quartet who actually played for the Queen. We have James, Owen and Ella and their tutor Marcus. I hate to sort of stop this beautiful music. I know you're going to play for us a little later on. What was it like playing for the Queen, Marcus?
It was fantastic. I mean, it's a lovely building to play in, and the acoustics were really good. It was just one of those lifetime things, isn't it?
A bit nerve-wracking now. How much practicing have you done?
Enough, I think, is the best way to describe it. We rehearse every Wednesday. We get together every Wednesday and rehearse as a group. So we were actually playing pieces that we'd rehearsed already, even though we did put a few new ones in.
It's lovely to see, and I hope you don't mean it, I don't want to sound patronising, young people enjoying, shall we say, a more classical kind of music. Yes, of course, I meant you, Marcus, absolutely. Is this a kind of resurgence then of the kind of quartet music that we like?
I think there is quite a lot of it going on. I mean, we do the classical side of the music, but we also do the commercial side. I mean, we've done arrangements of pieces by Elbow and Kings of Leon and things like that.
Oh, I think today's been such a sort of classical day, hasn't it? The Maundy Service. We better stick to the classical. I know that you're actually going to play us out of the programme with some more shots of this wonderful day. What music have you chosen then? What was for the Queen? Very traditional.
Yes, we did. We obviously played Elgar, very, very English kind of music, and we did Bach and different music from those kind of centuries. You know, I think we played one very modern piece, but that was my request.
You just wanted to sneak a bit of a modern one in. We're going to hear from the guys from the York Arts Academy a little later. But now, well, the sunshine, we just can't believe it. After the weather we had, Lisa, it's just been spectacular. Lisa, thank you very much. Well, what a day it was. Just 48 hours ago, the snow came.
I was stood in 4 inches of snow. Today,
in your woolly hat.
The sun has shone. Thousands came out to welcome the Queen on what is a very special day for York and will live long in the memory, Krista.
Absolutely. People came from far and wide, and it really was incredible. For me, the real memory I have of the different ages. It was the school holidays. You got children hoisted on shoulders. You had pensioners there.
We did.
You had lots of young students there who came out.
We did.
Living
history.
Absolutely. We're going to leave you now with the wonderful music and also some of the sights and sounds of a great day for York.
Good night.
Women.
I really enjoyed it because I saw her hat and I saw what she was wearing, and for me, just to see the Queen rather than not seeing it on TV, it was really, really good.
I'd never think I'd meet the Queen, but I've done it. And I'm very pleased to have seen her. She's a fantastic lady, and I hope she reigns for a long, long time yet.
This afternoon, she went on to open a new exhibition at the Yorkshire Museum commemorating York.
Sophie, thank you very much, and welcome to a rather special royal edition of Look North, coming tonight live from York.
Yes, the sun shone and they turned out in their thousands to welcome the Queen in this, her Diamond Jubilee year.
Her Majesty had come to the city for a special service at York Minster, where she distributed Maundy money to 86 men and 86. The Queen came for that Royal Maundy service in the Minster. With her, the Duke of Edinburgh and the Princess of York, Princess Beatrice. And you know, Phil, it's a really special year for her Diamond Jubilee, celebrating 60 years on the throne, but also a special day for York too.
It is, because York is celebrating 800 years of being granted a royal charter back in 1212. And today, Her Majesty the Queen came here to the Yorkshire Museum. That's why we're here live to talk 800 years as a self-governing see. We'll have all the pictures and all the reaction on tonight's Look North.
Good evening and thank you for joining us for a rather special programme as York continues to be bathed in sunshine for this memorable day. Thousands of people line the streets of the city
tonight to open a new exhibition which marks the history, really, the things which shaped the city's history over the last 800 years. Tonight, a group of invited VIPs will be looking at this exhibition as a very first chance to see what York has happened in York over the last 800 years. We'll be looking at that a little later on. First, though, my colleague Tom Ingle on a very special day for the city of York.